Hello, everyone. This is Fancy. I am here with the lovely Rashida Inez. Just want to take a moment to just tell you how important she is and needed in this time. So we're going to have this great interview, great dialogue. Are you ready?
I am.
Yes.
Let's
So
go.
let's start off by just introducing yourself.
Well, I am the Rashida Inez, the viral Rashida Inez. I pastor the Jesus Encounter Church United.
Okay.
Our headquarters church is in Phoenix City, Alabama, and we have churches throughout the United States.
Okay.
And I also cover several ministries that aren't part of a Jesus Encounter, but they're under my headship.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm what you would call an overseer too. I'm a photographer and I'm an entrepreneur. I have a bling business. I do custom apparel. And God has placed me in the industry.
Okay.
And so now I'm pushing God in that arena. And so those are pretty much the hats that I wear as it concerns ministry and business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know and follow you as the pastor that's unorthodox, unusual. You allow the Lord to flow and use you in a way that's needed now. And I always try to encourage people to get to God. And so through your message and through your life, you do it so unapologetically as yourself. So when did you first come to know God for yourself?
I've been baptized at 7
Mm-hmm.
7 years old. And I will always see myself as a kid. I would see myself preaching, even as a
Okay.
little girl. But I was brought up in the church. My foundation comes from the Baptist church. I was brought up in the Baptist
Okay.
church. And I always knew that God existed.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until I got older and I began to experience life that I knew that he was real.
Wow. Okay.
Nevertheless, I heard people speak about God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew, I never had any doubt that he was real and that he existed. But it wasn't until life started lifing and I got older that I was able to say for myself, okay, God, you real up there.
Okay.
Because I would hear people say stuff like there's this higher power, and all this other stuff. But I had a God encounter. I had a Jesus encounter.
Okay.
And so me and God really have been cool my entire life.
Wow.
We
That's
really
good.
have. Yeah. And so I do it his way.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. Whoever don't like it, they just don't like it.
Right.
You
In
know
that
what I
order.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So can you share a bit of the experience that caused you to just say, God, I'll go?
Yeah. As I said, I always saw myself. Excuse me. I've always seen myself even as a kid preaching the gospel. So much so that I would use objects around the house and I would act as if I was preaching.
Mm-hmm.
But life started lifing. I had, of course, a lot of childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I was sexually abused by my aunt. I was molested by my mother. And then at 18, I had my first rape. I was held at gunpoint and raped.
Okay.
Then I found myself in a marriage where I would be beaten and raped again.
Okay.
After that first rape, it made me suicidal. I remember going to church.
Okay.
People go there. You think you're supposed to go to church when you need help and healing.
Right.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Right.
But I had so much going on in my life that I became suicidal. I had the tongue piercings. I had the piercings all the way up here, the nose ring and stuff like that. And I remember I went to church and the bishop, he saw me and he started throwing off on me in his message. Right. And so I left there feeling even more suicidal.
Okay.
But what I said was, I'm done with church. This is it. So what I did was I took almost a whole year off of church.
Wow.
And instead of going to church on Sundays,
Okay.
I would go to Victory Land Casino in Shorter, Alabama.
Right.
Because I was done with church.
Right.
Until the little iPod shuffles came out.
Okay.
iPod shuffles came out. And I was working at a finance company in downtown Columbus.
Okay.
And so I wanted one so bad. And so on my lunch break, I went to drive to Best Buy. And I'm in a little green Geo Prism, a car about this big.
Wow.
And a huge white Chevy Suburban hits me head on.
Wow.
Make a long story short, the front end of my car was pushed up to my waist. I hear people in the car saying, "Is she dead? Is she dead? Is she dead?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not dead." And all I had was a broken fingernail.
Wow.
But I remember going to the tow yard to look at my car because my car was totaled. It was total lost car. And when I saw the damage of the car, I began to tear up. And God said to me, he said, I could have took you then. But I decided to give you one more time, one more chance to get it right with me. And that was when I had my God, I'll go moment.
Wow. Okay.
And I'll stay moment.
Wow.
And I have not left him since that moment.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
that was it for me.
Okay. So being that you've shared your story, let's start with the childhood trauma. Because you said you've always had a faith and you always trusted God, even in your childhood. So can you speak to some of the trauma that you experienced? I know you shared before when we talked before this about how you knew you was going to be a preacher and you knew it was in you. So you would practice with things around the house. And so let's speak to that because I want to lead to the molestation and the abuse. But we're going to start with your childhood.
Whenever I would be alone in the house, or in a space in the house, whether it be my room or whatever it may be, my mother and I, we lived with my grandmother.
Okay.
Now, my mom and I, we shared the same bedroom. Therefore, we shared the same bed. And this is why I say, parents, don't trust your children because your children go through your stuff.
Right.
And so, yeah. And so I remember I would see her do stuff like in between the mattresses.
Okay.
And so I remember, seeing her here and there. I see her like lift up the mattress, putting stuff in, put stuff out. But I never thought what it was. And so one day I'm in the room by myself and I had a preaching moment. But before that, I had a snooping moment.
Okay.
And so when I go to lift up the mattress, I see this yellow thing.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to be graphic, but it was kept sliding out of my hand. And then when I would hold it, it started vibrating. I'm like, what is this vibrating?
Right.
Then I was able to get it to vibrating and I started preaching with it.
Wow.
I started preaching with it. Not
knowing what it was.
Not knowing that it was a sexual toy.
Wow. Okay.
And so I remember her walking into the room and she saw me with it. And she said, put that back. Give me that. And that was that. I was introduced to, and this is why I'm very patient with people who have extreme sexual desires.
Right.
And this is why I'm very tolerant and I believe in helping people who are addicted to pornography.
Right.
Because I was introduced to pornography
at a young age.
At an extremely young age.
Yes.
Because all I knew was there was a bag of tapes. And I was told not to go in this bag. As a child, you're going to do what you're not told to do. Right. And so I put on one I about collapsed because the child scared me so bad what I saw on that TV.
Wow.
I was like, what is this? And so I had a friend, she had moved to our neighborhood recently. I'm from Tinton in Phoenix, Alabama. And she had moved in. So she would come to us. I said, girl, you want to see these movies? And she was like, yeah. And then when I put it on, she said, that's porn. My mama watched the same thing. That's porn.
Wow.
And that's when I was introduced to it. And so I became more interested in it, but then at the same time, it was like I was disgusted by it.
Okay.
But I was just eager. I'm like, because as a kid, I'm saying like, these people really booty butt ball naked.
Right.
You understand what I'm
right.
saying? Like, butt naked.
Right.
And until that point, I ain't know nothing about that.
Right.
And so I was like, well, my God. And so I would watch it.
Right.
Whenever she wasn't there, I would watch it. Right. And back then it was the VCR.
Right.
So, you had to rewind it back to where it was. Yep. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, and this is how the devil does. Me thinking that I'm trying to remember where she started. I'm literally having to remember images of nudity, fornication, adultery. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To put it back to where it was so that I didn't get caught.
That's right.
So that was the first introduction to what would be my childhood traumas.
Wow.
Right? And I'm not trying, God be my witness, I'm not trying to bash my mother. I did not have a perfect mother, but I say this as it concerns any parent or any child that has any type of issue with their parent.
Right.
Our parents did the best they could according to their knowledge.
Yes.
To their knowledge.
Yes.
And so, but I grew up, I would see her have sex with different men. Mind you, we shared the same bed.
Okay.
We shared the same bed.
You were right there.
Right. And it was as if it was always a man over. Always a man over. And so this one particular night, and this right here is, those other things I just named, those were the seeds. But this was where the watering of that seed came.
Okay.
One particular night, I can only assume that a man wasn't available. And we shared the same bed. And she put on one of those tapes that we just talked about, the pornography. Right. She thought that I was asleep. But I wasn't asleep. I couldn't sleep because of what I started hearing on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, my mom was so controlling and domineering that I could not say, "Can you turn that down?" or "What you watch?" I didn't have that type
Right.
of mama. See, I know what a real Jezebel is.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why Elijah
Right.
killed over 450 prophets, but then fled for one woman.
Right.
I was raised by that same spirit,
Right.
that one woman. And so I was so afraid. And then I was just like, okay, cool, it is what it is. And then I felt her lift my dress up. And I felt her put her 2 fingers into my underwear.
Wow.
And I felt her literally go almost inside, not penetration, but around, your lady part with her 2 fingers.
Wow.
And I remember it scared me. It confused me so bad because I wanted to yell, "Stop." But I knew if I had did that, I was going to get beat. So I remember what I did was, and I was just so confused. What I did was, I remember rolling over to my left side as if I was rolling over in my sleep.
Wow.
And then she stopped. I had to be about 7 or 8 years old because I remember going back to school. I went to Ridgecrest Elementary School in Phoenix City, Alabama.
Okay.
And I remember going back to school the next day, and I remember going into the bathroom just crying. Just crying. But, and this is what I teach in the Teach Me to Forgive, part of me wanted that sensation again.
Right.
But I knew I didn't want it from her. But it opened up a curiosity.
Right.
And so what I started doing was I started watching more of the pornography. And this is one of the reasons why I get a lot of heat for being openly loving to the LGBT community.
Right.
Have always gotten heat.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
And my response to them is this: first of all, God loves them. But when I tell them my story, the whole molestation by my mother, it's only by God's grace. And I'm not holding a hand with another woman talking about me getting married.
Right.
Only by God's grace.
Only by God's grace.
And so I believe in loving them in that manner. And so that started it. And that was something that I did not confront her about until I was pregnant with my second son.
Wow.
Because I had so much bitterness, so much unforgiveness. And God said to me, He said, if you don't forgive her, that unforgiveness and that anger is going to grow up in that baby.
Right.
I couldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
And so that's when God started giving me the entire, and that's a whole nother story.
Okay.
How to forgive.
But it's good that you are bringing awareness and open to that, because a lot of people deal with that.
Yeah.
And they won't share the story.
Well, I always say this because I waited over 25 years to confront her about that.
Right.
And this is the thing. When you deal with someone like that, you're afraid to say it initially. You're afraid to say stop because you're afraid you're going to get beat, especially as a kid.
Right.
You're afraid to tell anyone else in the house and the family because you really believe that they're not going to believe you.
Right.
Especially when now my grandmother almost worshiped my mom.
Okay.
So who could I go to?
Right.
I remember I had a breakdown in 2005. My mom had remarried, and I told my stepfather what happened. And what he said to me kind of blew my mind, because it was as if he didn't deny it. I almost felt like he knew I wasn't lying. And I broke down and I told him. He was the first person I ever told.
Wow.
And I told him, and he said to me, he said, we're not those people anymore. I knew he believed me. Okay. But you didn't believe me enough to go and confront her about it.
Wow.
And so, because she was so controlling, when I had my house in Fayetteville, North Carolina, I sent her a text. And prior to that, I need to retract, because after I told her, when I got ready to send that text, I told my grandmother, which was her mother, what had happened.
What was her response?
And she believed me, because she told me that she would see me as a baby. She would see my mom having sex with me and with me in the bed as a baby.
Okay. Okay.
So she believed it.
Okay.
But then she also told me this. She said, Rashida, you have to confront your mom. She said, here's why. She said, because the same thing happened to me by a man. And she said, when I got to the place where I was ready to confront him, he had died.
Wow.
And she said to me, she said, Rashida, I know I'm going to die with unforgiveness in my heart. And when she said that, that scared me.
Right.
And so because I had the type of mother that I could not talk to, what I did was I sent her a text. And the first thing I said to her was, I want to apologize for being so rebellious and being so, just a hard child. But here's why.
Wow.
That's what you did. in all these years, you thought I didn't know because you thought I was asleep.
Mm.
But I confronted her. I got
Okay.
it out. And then it was the iPhone. You know, the iPhone, it shows the 3 dots, the ellipses you can see when they're responding.
Right.
And then after that, my sisters weren't permitted to talk to me anymore. She stopped speaking to me. The church that we went to, I found myself getting blocked on social media from many of them.
Right.
Because I could only assume, I don't have proof, but I could only assume that she was telling them that Rashida is a liar.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But for years, I did not tell her, outside of being nervous and thinking that people wouldn't believe me, because I really did want to defend her reputation, because she is a preacher. To this day, she still preaches the gospel.
Right.
But then I reached a place where I said, you know, I'm not going to not tell my testimony just to keep you looking good when you're wrong.
Right.
And so if you are a part of my testimony, I'm sorry.
Right.
But they still overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony.
Yes.
I'm going to tell it. Even if you don't like it, because the truth of the matter is you should not have ever done it.
Right.
And so I had to get free from the fear of people.
Okay.
And the doors that they could possibly close. But if God didn't close the door, it's still open for me.
Okay.
And so I had to really get free from that. And that's what I teach other people to do. You know what I mean? Whatever happened to you as a child, that's not your fault.
Right.
And I'm no longer defending anyone's reputation.
That's good.
You know, especially not when I'm involved and my healing is at stake, or when souls are at stake. And that's why I'm very hard on preachers, you know, especially the ones that I cover. Listen, the first thing I say is, if you can't preach and correct your family or your friends, don't come trying to preach to us.
Right.
Because see, now when you know you got the Holy Ghost, when you go and correct mama.
Right.
When you can go in and give the word to dad, or when you can go and give the word to your best friend. And so until you can get your circle straight, we don't want to hear from you.
Right. Well, can you speak to, because you said you were in your adulthood when you brought it to your mom.
Yes.
How, in the process and in the journey along the way, how did you deal with carrying those feelings that you had that led you to the point of being able to share? Like, did you talk to God about it, or ask God for directions to help you get to your mom, or did it just happen?
The feelings that were derived from that experience was, I totally hated my mom.
Okay.
It made me hate women, period.
Okay.
I would find myself in relationships. I would act out. I would start fights. I became a bully because I needed someone to hurt the way that I was hurting.
Okay.
And then the few people, the friends that I had that really did love me, I would take it out on them because I knew that they would let me. And so and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think I ever talked to God about that.
Okay.
Until that night when I was on my knees and he told me, you know, you're going to have to forgive her. And I'm going to show you how to do it, because he did. And so it made me rebellious. It made me disrespectful. I started I felt like I didn't have control of even my own identity, which is why I believe I started getting the piercings that I did and the tattoos that I started getting, because I felt like I could control what I did to me. And so that was that. But it was something that I did not process until I let it go. I was a very angry teenager. And this is what I'll say to anyone.
Okay.
If you know someone and they have a teenager, and that child always angry, that child always got an attitude. If that child don't have to pay bills, that child don't have no health issues, that child don't have no financial responsibility, and that child is angry and bitter, something happened to that child.
Okay. Right.
It's a reason that child that has no stress or responsibility is upset. Right. Because I was her.
Okay.
And so I didn't know how to treat people. So I decided to treat people badly.
Okay.
Like I said, I hated women. So I began to get into a relationship with any man that I want to be in a relationship with, because I felt like as if I was feeling love in that moment. And that's honestly what led to the me being held at gunpoint and rape.
Okay.
So I had not spoken to God about it. I just tried to live through it.
Okay.
On my own.
Right.
And in doing so, I hurt so many people.
Wow.
You know?
Right. And being that happened to you, what would you say to a mother that's in the place that your mother was in? Because just like we said, some things come from environment. Something happened to her that made her feel like it was okay to do that to you. And that's not justifying what she did.
Right.
But for that mother that may be experiencing that same thing, what is what were you looking for your mama to do? Like in that moment after she did that, what would have been the thing that she needed to do or say to you after doing something like that?
Well, when I sent that text, I was healed.
Okay.
So, but I think the biblical thing for her to do would be to try to be reconciled with me.
Okay.
Admit it. Yes, I'm shocked that you did it. I'm shocked that you remember this, but this was my fault. Just admit it.
Right.
And I think a mistake that people who are found wanted, whether it be a parent who has wronged their child in any kind of way.
Right.
They like to take it to God and leave it there.
Right.
And, I'm just going to give it God. I'm just going to pray about it. No, baby. He said, go back and be reconciled with your brother.
Right.
You know what I mean? He says, if you don't forgive them, I won't forgive you. And you have to realize that just getting it right with God, that ain't enough. When you do Bible, you got to get it right with the person that you have offense to.
Right.
He says, if you remember that your brother have offense against you, leave your gift at the altar and you're going to be reconciled with your brother.
Right.
Matthew 18 says you have an altar against someone, you go to that person yourself.
Right.
And so just getting it right with God. How can you love a God that you never seen, but hate your brother that you see every day?
Right.
Or hate your child that you have raised or supposed to allegedly raise. And so the right thing to do when you're found wanting and you know that you did it. Now, if you come to me and you say, well, I don't remember doing this. Okay, I can work with that.
Okay.
You don't remember? I'm finna help you remember. I'm gonna tell you all the details. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But when you know you're wrong, the best thing to do is just admit it.
Admit it.
Yes, I did that. It happened to me. I should not have ever done it.
Right.
But can you please not say anything? Of course I won't. But when you're big and bad and want to be rebellious and still want to preach the gospel and you want to tell everybody I got the mental illness, now I got to tell my story. Now I got to put it in a book too. Called The Pulpit Was a Perfect Alibi. And so I have to put that in a book.
Right.
And then this is what I tell parents who have children like myself.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, no one wants their child to be a murderer. People are afraid that they're going to raise thieves. And what I tell people, if you have wronged your child, you better pray for God you don't raise somebody like Rashida Inez.
Right.
That'll tell it all and not spare your feelings.
Right.
While you're alive. Because see, most people wait until their parents dead and gone.
You're right.
No. We're going to hit this. And if you say I'm lying, let's go take a polygraph test. And when it come back that you're the liar, run me my money back.
Right. So, yeah, that's good. Yeah. So that's good. So, leading up to your adulthood and you end up, do you think because of what you endured as in your childhood led you to make a decision to be with a man that also abused you as well? So speak to that place too. How childhood trauma can lead to things if go unattended to, Yeah.
So I still live with the woman who molested me. I was still taking orders from her. And when my first husband came along, his name was Jeremy.
Okay.
Fun fact about me, my first husband's name was Jeremy. My second husband's name was Jeremy.
Okay. So you just like
They both were soldiers in the United States Army.
Okay.
And they both were prophets.
Wow.
Yes. So when he came along, I was a contractor at Fort Benning. And I wanted a way out. I wanted to finally be free from her, be free from her controlling ways, be free for her pretending to love me in front of people, and then free from her throwing off on me at church and her message. I just wanted to be free from, her just always hearing her yell and that type. I wanted out, and he was my way out. I knew I didn't love him. I feel like he knew it too.
Okay.
But he was my way out because here comes this soldier, and you're saying, oh, you're just so pretty and all this other type of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is my way out.
Right.
But I never checked his character, and being honest with you, I didn't care. If I had seen in the spirit or knew that he would beat me, I still would have married him.
Okay.
That's just how much I wanted to get away from my mother.
Wow.
He could have been a serial killer. I would have told myself he ain't gonna kill me. And I still would have married him.
Wow.
Just so I could get away from her.
Wow.
So he was my way out.
He was your way out. Okay.
And I thank God that he was just a woman beater and not a killer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So was he the one that pulled the gun on you, or was it the second?
No, this was before him.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, and here's a fun fact about that.
Okay.
The guy that pulled the gun on me, he was a soldier. His name was Rick. We met at a stoplight from Victory Drive, down Victory Drive.
Okay.
And I was at a stoplight. He pulled up beside me, and then we pull over at a pawn shop that was right next to a plaza on Victory Drive. And we get out of the car, and we start talking. He said, yeah, you should come on. You should see me. And so I went to his apartment, and he begins to make me a drink.
Okay.
And I said, no, I don't drink. I don't want nothing to drink. And he was like, no, it's good. You should take it and all this stuff. I said, no. He said, that's a $22 drink in the club. And I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm drinking. I'm driving.
Right.
That's when he pulls out the gun. So he allegedly had to already have it right there on his couch because we was probably sitting about this far away.
Okay.
Except for he would have been here as I was right here. Mm-hmm. And he pulls the gun out and he pushes it to my head. And he says, get up. Keep walking. He pushed me to the bathroom. Pushed me to his bedroom. And then he begins to rape me from the back for over an hour. Wow. And it was, I was scared because I felt like with every thrust that the trigger was going to slip. My head was banging against a cement wall where his bed was. To me, that was probably, now my husband, he beat me pretty bad one time, but that rape was probably the most painful experience that I ever had in my life as it concerns abuse. Okay. But I was so scared. And he stopped. Just like that, he stopped. And he said, you can go. Wow. And I said, okay. He said, I don't think I have to tell you not to tell nobody. Wow. I said, no, you don't. And I just felt so small. I wasn't myself for months after that, still living in my mom's house. And no one discerned that Rashida wasn't the same. You know what I mean? Wow. No one. And so I felt alone. I was angry at myself for expecting my mom to even care. Okay. Like, why are you expecting her to even care? You know how she is. And so, but then when she did not care, that was when I kind of shifted into like the whole tough girl type thing. Okay. You know what I mean? And I made a vow to never ever be like this woman. Okay. I almost did not get the baptism of the Holy Ghost because of her experiences. Yeah. And so I had feelings but yeah, that rape came before the abuse. Okay. But what he put me through wasn't nearly as bad as what I went through as a child. Wow. And then hearing all your experiences and all the things you experienced and even acknowledging God, he was with you. Even if you yes, felt alone. Yes. Because it led you to where you are now. And I know you had the accident that brought you to God. Yes. But were there any moments before you said yes where you knew that, okay, I got a special gift, a special anointing. I know it's something that God wants me to do. Can you speak about any of those moments, like another time that God, besides the accident, because I feel like that was like, okay, God, you got my attention. Were there moments before then where you knew like God said go and you just didn't go? No. Okay. My connection, or I allowed my connection to God to be whatever my pastor said that my connection to him was supposed to be. Whatever he preached, that was what I accepted. Right. And it wasn't until his leader came down to a service one night, and his leader called me out, and he began to prophesy to me. All right. And I remember him saying something about a prophetic anointing and all this other type of stuff. I ain't nothing about that. He started saying something about, the prayer intercession. Nothing about that. And it was quite a lot of things other that he said, but I can't recall now. Right. But I remember he did say this. He said, someone did a thing to you when you was a child and they should not have done it. Wow. And I remember breaking down crying. But I remember leaving there excited, but I also remember leaving there confused. Okay. Because I was like, I know he ain't saying nothing bad, but I need to understand, what this means. Yeah. And that's why I move very skillfully in the prophetic, because I feel like prophecy shouldn't make you confused. Right. It may have you questioning what's next, or okay, how is this going to happen? But not confused, but never confused. God is the author of confusion, right? And so I don't play that. Right. You come prophetic, you prophesy to people, and they confused. Come on, me and you finna have a conversation, right? Okay, because something about that ain't right. But yeah, right. So that's good. So let's go to the moment you accepted your call while after the accident. So how long was it after that you began to accept your call as an apostle? To lead other people, basically. This was when I was currently married to my first husband.
Mm-hmm.
And that, of course, we PCS to Germany.
Okay.
First duty station was Mannheim, Germany. Then we moved to Heidelberg, Germany.
Okay.
In Germany, no one knows me. It was in Germany that I joined the Church of God in Christ.
Mm.
And I realized that so many women would cleave to me. They would cling to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in Germany that I developed the love and the discipline for prayer that I did.
Mm.
And it was in Germany that I truly feel and know that all of my spiritual gifts were activated. Because I was under leaders who made sure that all you was going to do was going to pray.
Okay.
That was it. It was nothing else. We fasted. And whenever she fasted, she would make us fast. I was her armor bearer for a minute, and she would fast.
Okay.
She wouldn't even let you fast with water.
Okay.
And she would fast on most weekends. So we would fast. We would go Friday and not eat until Monday. But she had that type of domineering spirit where you better not even think about trying to get something to drink.
Right.
She had such great gifts, and she would have us on our knees in prayer on Saturdays, some 4 times, sometimes 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it was under her leadership that my gifts began to get cultivated. And that was when I knew, okay, this is just greater than me keeping this all in. Okay, Rashida, you got to let God train you. And he did.
Okay.
He put me through an entire year of training. I couldn't wear earrings.
Okay.
He wouldn't let me wear heels.
Okay.
He wouldn't let me get my nails done. He wouldn't let me wear color lipstick.
Okay.
For over a year. Over a year. And I didn't know that I couldn't wear earrings during that year because he was teaching me to hear him.
No distractions.
He wouldn't let me get my nails done because he was putting healing in my hands.
Okay.
He did not allow me to even wear makeup because he was teaching me shamefacedness and humility.
Wow.
I couldn't wear heels because he said he wanted me to master staying low.
Okay.
And I couldn't put colors on my lips because I was going to be his prophetic voice.
Okay.
And so all of that training by way of the Holy Spirit, God and Jesus, and then the discipline of the leaders that I had, that began to stir, activate, and cultivate the God that was in me. And I knew I had to win people who were just like me.
Wow.
But would never ever come to God.
That's good.
And then that's what they came to, and then my leader, he made it very clear. He said, okay, Rashida, I'm going to affirm you as apostle. Yes, sir. Got it. Cool. Scared, nervous, start shaking like a stripper.
Right.
When he said it. But yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that has started. That was where my training first.
Okay.
Then the leadership in me to lead others.
Okay.
In the word and to Christ.
Right.
That was where that began in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you knew that, but you were an accident here, not in Germany. And it sparked a different faith and a different trust in God and a different process. So even that moment, talk a little bit about the accident and when you knew like it's really time to go. You got the training, you knew your position, you knew it.
Yeah.
But it was that moment that really changed something in you as it relates to God.
I had started Rashida Inez Ministries.
Okay.
And it was something I started on Facebook when I had my old pages. My old pages were hacked, so I operate from a new page.
Okay.
And I saw that the Rashida Inez Ministry page, the group would grow daily. And all we was doing there was praying. I would go live every single night. I would pray.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay.
I would pop up and do lives, and I would kind of teach Bible studies, and I would go live within the group, and I would laugh with them, joke with them. What y'all doing? Better not be out there sinning.
Yeah.
And it would begin to just grow.
Right.
And so one time he told me to do a Jesus encounter one night service. Okay. He told me to do it in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Okay. I did it. People came with van loads. Buses came. Wow. To the auditorium that I rent out. To the gym days that I rent out. Okay. And God moved in such a crazy way. I've never seen anything like it. And that was why at that point I had been living in Florida. And while in Florida, he told me to go ahead and start the Jesus Encounter Church. Okay. So he told me to do it in Phoenix City. Okay. And so I'm sorry, he told me to do it in Alabama. So I put it in Smith Station, Alabama. And that started everything else. Wow. And it wasn't until now we're in Phoenix, Alabama, we have a new building. Okay. And once I started the Jesus Encounter Church, that was when other people started coming under my headship.
Okay.
That have pastors on my headships. Would you be my headship? Would you be my covering? And I'm cautious about that word covering.
Right.
But can I come under your headship? And then that was when God really, really began to expand territory.
Okay.
And that's what he told me. Apostles, we do more than just the pastors. Apostles have to take territory.
Right.
That's what it is.
Okay.
If you do not take territory, you're not an apostle.
Okay.
That's one of the qualifications.
Okay.
That's one of the requirements in the Bible.
Yes.
You have to take territory.
Okay.
And so that's when God started using me to take territories.
That's good. So, being that you experienced everything you experienced, got to the point where you are now, was the important part about learning Rashida Inez, because you're not defined by a moment. You're not defined by a 60-second video of people listening to that don't understand the spiritual side. Because I think that played a lot of role into it too. When you're spiritual, you kind of know how God moves. You don't play with God, folks. I'm telling y'all. Listen, don't play with God, folks. Don't put your mouth on no preacher. But anyway, so being that you went through the sexual abuse and you saw things, when you went to the church, you was at someone else's church, right, on video preaching?
Yes.
Okay. You was at someone else's church is preaching, and you were sincerely doing what God told you to do, which you always walk in and do unapologetically, like I said. How did it make you feel that it was turned or viewed as sexual?
I don't think I felt no kind of way that it was viewed as sexual or if it was viewed as provocative. What hurt me was that so many people were offended by it.
Okay. Were they offended by the attire or offended by the word?
They were offended by the attire.
Okay.
Definitely attire. Because that's what 85 to 90% of the comments were my attire.
Okay.
Why she had that on, why she had this on, but they didn't realize. And I did not know that a friend of mine, he had analytics ran on the video, because I had suspected that the video had been edited.
Okay.
I don't know if they did AI or whatever it was. Because in the video, it had me looking like I was about 5'8", 5'9", about 400 pounds, 300 pounds.
Really?
I'm 5'5".
Okay.
I'm not there. And so when I look, because I'm saying, yeah, this thing got me looking like I need some Ozempic.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And so you mean I done gained some weight now. I need to get about 15 pounds off. But it ain't like that.
Right.
And so from the angle that it was and way it was zoomed in, of course, I have if you see me now, I have the typical, you and I have the same thing.
Same body build.
The small up top, super small waist,
exactly,
wide hips.
Right.
So with the video, the way that it was zoomed in, my outfit wasn't that bad. And I kept trying to direct people, go back and watch the original video. You will see the outfit wasn't that bad. But when I started looking at the comments, and like I said, the biggest problem was my attire.
Okay.
I was bothered that they were offended and bothered by that.
Okay.
And so what I said was, I owe them an apology. Because at the end of the day, regardless if this is AI, no matter what it is, I wore that outfit. I offended the people that I vowed to take care of. Even though they don't take care of me. So they're due a response, they're due an explanation, and they are due an apology. And so that's what bothered me, because so many people was bothered by that. And and as I said, I will apologize as many times as that video goes viral. Right. Because at the end of the day, I take sole responsibility for that. You understand what I'm saying? I caused that moment. And to rebut it, to fight it, to argue that it was AI. I'm not finna do all of that. I told you that's what it was, but I feel like too many preachers have been caught in the pulpit wrong. Right. And instead of them apologizing, they try to justify it. Right. I'm not one of them. Right. And that's what humility is. Right. I did something, I wore something that hurt you. Right. I'm sorry. Right. I'm sorry.
But I think in today's society, people are offended by a lot of things. So for someone who is built in that structure, why is it always, in your opinion, something that stands out about something people really don't have control over? Because I feel like if a person that was a 20 at the top and a size 8 at the bottom with the same with the same outfit on, and I'm not body shaming. Yes. But what I'm saying, if they can speak about the curvy woman, let's speak about the unproportioned woman. So I'm just saying, just being real and honest. Hey. So why is it, because I do know that sometimes no matter what you wear, um, what we put on to cover yourself, because we still in the midst of all this too, you have to still think about the woman that is curvy. And she shouldn't always have to feel offended because of what she have on. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like with the same outfit on, saying the same thing with a different body type, I don't think it would have gotten as much traction.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Right.
It wouldn't. And I'm gonna be honest with you, because I purposely did not do too much digging.
Okay.
But quite a few people noticed that this is what was said to me.
Okay.
That some of the ladies who had a problem with my outfit, they were going to their pages and they was looking at their bodies.
Right.
And there's a difference between theirs and mine.
Right. Right.
And so you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And I understand that.
Right.
And then I even had someone it was a guy, he commented on my outfit. And so they went to his page. They looked at his wife's body.
Okay.
It ain't what we got going on.
Right. Right.
And so my thing is this. I'm a 14, 16.
Okay.
I would love to be a 4 or 8.
Okay.
But instead of being jealous of the 4 or 8, I celebrate her.
Right.
Girl, you got it going on.
Right.
Girl, you better wear it. Come here, you ain't got no fat around your waist.
Right.
When you sit down, look like you sit inside of a Michelin tire.
Right.
And so I look at that and I'm like, girl, go ahead.
Okay.
And so I think that especially if we as women just celebrate one another.
Celebrate.
You know, you look good. You're snatched.
Right.
I've told you that, girl.
Right. You did. You told me I was cute.
And there is
Right.
no tension between us.
Right.
And so I think that if people begin to celebrate instead of being intimidated,
okay,
we'll be so much better.
Right.
Why can't you celebrate your sister?
Right.
Why?
Right.
Why are you so bothered?
Right.
And if you are that bothered, you may not believe in plastic surgery, but I like all that.
Right.
Oh, I'm all for going to get the tummy tuck. I'm all for the liposuction. I'm all for whatever it take.
Because I want these rolls out my back.
I'm loving it. You know what I mean? But just because you don't like it or you too scary to go and get it done, why are you messing with us?
Right.
You understand?
And so, even with you apologizing, because if it did offend somebody, because of your position, you big enough to say, I apologize.
Yes.
And so with that, even with me, I would find myself saying, if somebody's real thin, oh, you skinny. You don't never know how that affects someone.
Right.
So the same thing go for us.
Yes.
You know, like, I can't help I got hips.
Yeah.
I can't help I got something going on in the back. But I don't need you always letting that be the first thing you say when you see me. But we have to get a pass on that. But you're more concerned about how we stand up in front of your men that shouldn't be looking at us in that way anyway. Let me stop. See, I can't. Yeah.
If you stop, I'm gonna start.
Yeah, you start.
But see, this is a thing right here. You can't get upset because your husband head then got turned or your man head then got turned just because something walked in.
Come on.
See, the thing is, I don't care, especially if your husband, just because he got married don't mean he go blind.
Right.
That's your situation. That's your problem.
Right.
What I would do is, if you know you have a husband and you notice, because if you are a woman, you're going to know. If you notice that certain type of women turn his head, seem like you'll be taking notes.
Right.
Instead of getting offended.
Right.
Okay, so I notice he always look at Sheila. He like got her toes out. Okay, I notice he always look at a woman that got them tight clothes on. You need to put you some tight clothes around the house. Why are you married and looking any kind of way around the house?
Right.
Why are you married and getting upset? If your husband and that doggone got that many issues, leave them at home.
Come on, somebody.
But don't come taking out your problem on us.
Right.
Just because we keep it together.
Also, I think too that when it comes to the insecurities of other people, they tend to put judgment on people with the shapes, the figures that they desire. You know, and so it's easy for them to judge people, especially in the church. Oh, her dress too tight, but this don't look right. And really, we're not even there for that reason. So the focus shouldn't just be on that. But being that people are offended by that, do you think that it's a certain expectation from women more than it is for men?
Yeah, because if you haven't noticed, I mean, the male preachers now, some of them, their pants tighter than ours.
Right.
They're not getting much heat from it.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if ours are too tight or our dresses are too tight, you know, we're getting heat from it. You know what I mean? So yes, the standard is definitely different for women than it is men.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the men, just like we said, grabbing the attention of a man. I mean, just because a man turns and look don't mean that he's lusting.
Yes.
He may think just like another woman that will compliment you may say, dang, she look nice.
Right.
Or that dress fits her well.
Yes.
It doesn't mean as in depth.
Yes.
But sometimes the insecurity of the woman that's with that man is deeper than what they're even projecting out on their spouse.
Right.
And so with that being said, from the perspective of the feedback that you got from the video, I mean, how do they think you should dress? Like with your shape? I'm saying, what are they saying?
Well, I'm being honest with you all. I'll be honest with you. I have not opened myself up for any of their suggestions of what they think I should put on me.
Right.
Yeah, I made it very clear that if you're expecting me to dress like I'm a member of the Mississippi Mass Choir, ain't gonna happen.
Come on, somebody.
You understand what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I adorn my body as a single woman the way I adorn my body.
Right.
And like I said, the outfit just wasn't that bad. You know, I just hate that I hurt so many people.
Right.
Now when I'm outside of church, let me tell you something. Now my church, they understands me. They understand me. But I would cast the devil out of you with a crop top on.
Right.
Have done it.
Okay.
And, yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And so my thing is, I appreciate your feedback. I even appreciate your feelings.
Right.
I'm so sorry again that you were offended. My body is adorned by me.
Right.
And as long as it's not offensive to God, or until he says, change it, it'll remain the same. The only difference is now how I adorn my body in the pulpit will definitely have you in mind.
Okay.
So I will be conscious and be more aware that, Rashida, what you wear can offend so many.
Right.
So I would keep it in mind, meaning that I would consider it.
Right.
That's my promise to you.
Right. And I still think that people will still be offended.
Yeah.
As, you know, as I thought about like, you know, attire and things of that nature, you have different gospel artists that we sing and praise and worship their songs based on, but their body type is a certain stature. So they dress no different than what you may have worn. You have people that are just shapely.
Right.
So I you know, I'm not offended, but I just think that they ought to take that into consideration as well, that no matter whether you wear a robe and you rocking in the Mississippi Mass Choir, that thing on thing. I'm just saying. So it's like, you know, no matter what you have on, you know, so we live a life trying to comfort and make people feel good about their insecurities. So I think that first they need to admit of the insecurities that they have.
Right.
Because there's somebody out there with the same body type.
Yeah.
That's like, well, I don't want to wear this because I don't want to do this because you're going to always offend somebody because some things we wear is going to show your shape regardless of what you put on. You
especially
can cover
when you're
up.
shaped like us.
Right. When you're shaped hippie and wide. I mean, you put a jacket on it's still the same, you know, and they're not trying to offend anyone.
Right.
It's just, what am I supposed to do?
Right. My thing is just accept it.
Right.
And my thing is people who are totally free like you and I, like I said earlier, we've complimented each other.
Right.
On our appearance and our bodies.
Right.
Why can't other women do the same?
Right.
If you so upset with you because you done ate yourself into a situation.
Right.
I feel glory on that. Yes. You done ate yourself into a situation. Why take it out on me?
Right.
Why take it out on you?
Right.
When the reality is you're still beautiful.
Right.
Whether you've eaten yourself into a situation or you done cut yourself out one.
Right.
But see, all the exercising and stuff, I like to jog, I do it, but if I can go get it cut, I'm going to get it cut.
I ain't able to.
Oh, I thank God for a good scalpel.
Right.
Yeah, and a good surgeon that's double board certified.
Right.
Hey, how about Sotomayor?
But yet
it ain't
still
for everybody.
But here's the thing. They praise who they want to praise in that situation.
Yes.
And everybody ain't going to tell the truth. They want you to celebrate their success with weight loss, but they ain't going to tell you how they got it.
Right.
They ain't going to tell you how the body came.
Right.
So the fact that you're open and honest and direct about that speaks volume. So celebrate that just like you do with how they, you know, they made that moment go viral.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we can all be in this together because I would never body shame any woman.
Right.
And now what you see is, and I'm not talking about my situation,
but
I see women who have beautiful bodies being body shamed. They had something to say because Nicki Minaj, BBL. Nicki looks good.
Okay.
But they're body shaming her.
Wow.
They were body shaming Lotto, who is one of the most prettiest female rappers. Why y'all messing with her? They're body shaming Krishan, saying that she needs a BBL.
Wow.
Why are you messing with her?
Wow.
They body shame Gorilla because she still have her natural nose, her natural body. And so even those who are in high places in the industry, and even those who are those size 2s, now they're getting picked on. And all it is just insecurities. And if it's not insecurities, it's just people want to be messy. I've learned that people will put the most harsh comment in the comment section, praying that other people like it just so they can get followers.
Wow.
Now you that desperate.
Wow.
You that lonely. You that lonely.
Wow.
So just celebrate one another. Appreciate one another for what they are.
Wow. Yes.
You know? And if you stop hating on her flat butt, maybe God will let yours supernaturally grow.
Do some squats.
It's something. Butt lift steps. All of it's available to you. You understand what I'm saying? And so, you don't hate on what you don't have. Accept that you don't have it. And don't try to make the other woman feel bad because she does. And don't come over here messing with us because we done turn your husband head. See, I say that kind of stuff. I talk about that kind of stuff. You understand what I mean? That's your situation. Don't take offense, take notes. Don't get mad, get delivered. Yeah, what it is. Because see, somebody got to say it. That's why he had to raise up Rashida Inez, because see, I say it.
And I like that. And being that you are a woman of God in this moment, and I feel like you have always been you. Like, that didn't just start with that moment. You've always dressed the way you dress. You've always been vocal to say what God told you to say. But this particular moment has gone viral and given you an opportunity to open the ears of even more broader audience and things like that. What is it that God has spoken to you in this situation that you feel like is going to draw someone? So you can just speak to the camera so they can hear.
When I went viral, the general response was my outfit. When I did my response video, the narrative changed from how dare she to who is she? Because when I responded, I addressed everything that they were concerned about. I explained the outfit. I made sure I maintained my humility, and I made sure they knew that I was godly sorry. And what happened was my response began to go viral. People started asking me, we want to interview you. My team, the people that you have set up to interview with now, they're not interviewing me now because of the viral video. They're interviewing me because they're saying, we want to know her story. And that would have never happened had I not responded the correct way. I could have responded, y'all going to accept what I got going on, and if you don't like it, no. But the Bible says, agree with thine adversary quickly. And live peaceably with all men, wherever it's possible. Be peacemakers. And so because it was on my person, I apologize. And my response has opened up so many doors by God. Just because I didn't run from it. I didn't deactivate social media. I responded. And that was all I did. And now, whereas most people would try to capitalize off the popularity, I'm trying to capitalize on the opportunity to draw more people to Jesus. That's all I want to do. So this really has been great. That whole viral thing, this has been great. Yeah, it's been great. Because even in my inbox and even with people DMing me, I'm still getting crazy followers on TikTok. People are saying stuff like, I appreciate you. I can count on one hand how many negative inboxes I've gotten. They're saying in the comment section, but they're not saying it to me. And the ones who are coming to me, they're asking me about God. And they are, every last positive comment I've gotten in my inbox or my DMs have all included my response video. See? Which tells me that, or I would say this, when I apologize, I feel as if I was not only apologizing for myself, but I feel like I was apologizing for other people that had hurt them. And when you hear a preacher apologize, I think me being a preacher and I'm apologizing, I felt that to someone who was molested. They was getting free. It was as if their molester apologized to them.
Okay.
The pastors who would throw off on them, they were getting free. Cause it was as if those polluted pastors was apologizing to them. And so I really feel that when I apologize, I just didn't apologize for myself. I apologize for everyone that had hurt them in the church.
Wow.
And that's why God is doing what he's doing.
Right.
That's why I say I will apologize as often as that video goes by.
Right.
It's okay to apologize.
And that's why I'm glad that people got a chance to see you, because you're bigger than that moment. Your life experiences can be relatable to other people who are experiencing that say, no, God can't use me because I've been in this situation. God can't use me. I can't go because I'm like this. When God is just simply saying, just be you.
Yeah.
So for me, just knowing the situation and that it went viral, to me, I just said, you know what? She is an obedient vessel of God, and she's going forth in what God told her to do. And people like me needed it. People that have not accepted or fully walked in their call need to see this. Need to see somebody that's transparent, somebody that's real. And the only way that he can get them to you is for a viral moment.
Yeah.
Some people would have never heard of Rashida Inez.
Yeah.
So that's why in this moment, it was important for me to allow the people to hear your story.
Thank you.
Who is Rashida Inez? Where did you come from? The same person that you see that's beautiful, as that's smiling, then been through some hardship.
Amen.
Has had to forgive people who have hurt her.
Amen.
You know, and still stand in God. And that's why I asked, in the midst of all that trauma, and as time went on and on your journey, how was your relationship with God, and did God speak to you? And you said, well, a lot of times I didn't even think about God in those moments, but he still sustained you.
Yes.
And he still was with you as you progressed to where you needed to be.
Yes.
You know, I always thank God for loving me back to where I needed to be.
Yes. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you were able to share that story. And you spoke about, we know about the molestation with your mom. We know about the abuse with your spouse, and the guy that raped you.
Yes.
And you say it so gracefully, like it's just, you know, so we know it's God to be able to forgive those people for those things.
Yeah.
But you also spoke about an aunt.
Yes.
That molested you. It was like you were this magnet for abuse.
Yeah.
But even that experience, share that experience.
I remember that day very clearly.
Okay.
Her and I, we're not that far separated in age, so we kind of grew up as sisters. But we was at my grandmother's house, because grandmother's house was a spot. She came, as she always would, her mom, which is my mom's mom as well.
Okay.
They would come down from Montgomery into the house, and one day we was just playing, and we were in the hallway, because my grandmother, she had this like large vent in the hallway, and I would like to walk on it because it would make this funny noise.
I remember that when there was
so you know, we throwback saints,
right,
you know,
right. They don't know about that, right?
They go way back. And so she had that, and I remember I would go and I would step on it. Well, right behind that vent was the bathroom door.
Okay.
And so she pushed me in the bathroom door, and I was like, "Girl, what you doing?" And she was like, "No, come here, come here." I said, "No, what you doing?" And then she began to pull her pants down, and I said, I don't remember what I said. But I remember being like, what in the world?
Right.
Then she pulled my pants down, and she would not let me go. And then she grabbed me by my waist, and she kept rubbing her vagina against mine.
Wow.
And I remember standing there like, this is crazy, because when she put my pants on, she put underwear too.
Okay.
Her underwear was down too. And that can get really, really graphic. And I'm trying to be. And after that, I didn't want to play with her anymore.
Okay.
I didn't want to speak with her anymore. And then there became a place, I think I do remember my mom asked me, why you ain't going outside playing with such and such? I don't remember what my answer was. But I never looked at her the same. I do recall there did come a point where we did get back close, and we would play and we would interact, because I remember her and my grandmama, they moved down back to Phoenix City from Montgomery. Okay. And my grandma, she lived in these apartments. I think it was Greenleaf Apartments in Phoenix City. And they had a pool. And so my grandma would come get me. We would come swim in the pool and all the other type of stuff. So we kind of, as time kind of healed me not wanting to deal with her, we just had to deal with each other again. And so it was just something that was never talked about. And I think that's why this viral moment has made a few people in my family uncomfortable.
Okay.
Because I had already started talking before this. Now they don't know
They're
how
like,
much
what's she gonna
say.
tell? Right.
And then they don't know how much I remember. My thing is, I'm not finna lie.
Okay.
Now you can lie, but
right.
let's take a polygraph test.
Right.
If Rashida is lying.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm willing to do that.
Right.
So willing to do that.
Right.
Because I know I don't have nothing to hide.
Right.
And so they don't really, they're nervous because they don't really know what I'm going to do. But that moment right there, that came before the molestation.
Okay.
So here you have my aunt, a woman or a girl. Then you have my own mother.
Come on, that's
how disgusting do you have to be for you to even look at your child in that way? But that was when I began to study the spirit of lust.
Okay.
Because keep in mind, I would see her with men all the time.
Wow.
This night a man wasn't available.
Okay.
And that's one thing where I believe in helping people get free from lust, because that's something that can grow.
Right.
And so here is someone overtaken by lust that now they are molesting. Now they are molesting their only child. That's a spirit.
That's a spirit. Yeah.
It's a spirit, but you can get free from that. And so, that's why I go hard for deliverance. I go hard for inner peace and inner healing, which only comes by way of God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost.
So let me ask you this. Being that I know you said your mom was always a preacher, as time go on, everybody evolves. No one is exempt. No one is there. We already said that. I'm just saying everybody's a work in progress.
Yes.
Over the years, do you think that she have recognized, but may not even came to the place to come and ask for forgiveness, but that God is evolving her in some ways, being that she is someone that he has chosen to spread the gospel? You know what I'm saying? So you saying the same person that hurt her child is ministering God's word and people are being delivered by her word, but yet and still she have not come to repentance or ask you for forgiveness for what she have done. So I know your prayer is that she does evolve, but I'm just saying, I just don't feel like she's the same exact person that she was when it happened. Do you think? She has evolved some?
Well, I never said that she was preaching and folk were getting delivered because of preaching.
Oh, the people. Okay.
Yeah, we gotta get that part. Yeah, we gotta make that real straight.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, it's a difference between a sermon and a message.
Okay.
Sermons tickle your fancy and your emotions.
Okay.
It'll make you cry, it'll make you shout, it'll make you jump. But when you preaching that word, that's a message. So I never put that deep.
Okay.
Now maybe something changed since I done heard a preach. But honey, I've been listening to a preach about all my life up until the past 10 however many years. And I ain't never seen nobody get delivered. I ain't seen no demons come out. I ain't seen no cast come off. I ain't seen nobody get up out no wheelchairs. I ain't seen nobody, have the reaction that Jesus did when he preached.
Right.
So I can't go that deep with it now. But when you say you're saved.
Come on.
When you say that you are saved. And you know that you have offended anyone. Right. You know it. It's a difference between offending someone and not knowing it.
Right.
And you know that person is available. Why not
just go to them?
All that sweeping stuff. I'm the one that snatched stuff from underneath the rug. When I was in Germany and God began to train me, I told you about that experience.
Right.
One thing I asked God to do, I said, God, make a way for me to apologize to everyone that I hurt. He started sending cashiers that I had done cussed out at the PX. When I got back stateside, he started allowing me to see old classmates, old teachers that I had, and I would apologize to him. And what I learned is that they didn't even remember the stuff that I had said or how it was.
Right.
And so my thing is this: if you say you're saved, and you know that you done touched a child, especially when it's yours.
Right. You know that. You think about that.
I don't care how much you've been living it or how long you've been preaching. If you're not saved and sanctified if you don't go and you don't address that.
Right.
That's Matthew 18.
Right.
And so that's why I can't quite understand.
But see, that's so dangerous though.
Oh yeah.
Professing to be of God, and then and I know that happens a lot because a lot of people sweep stuff under the rug. A lot of people profess God but deny. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So that's dangerous though.
Yeah,
because how many people are you causing to be disobedient to God, and you pouring that spirit out on people?
This is the thing with that. First of all, I feel as if when you have a husband that say he preached the gospel, when you have a pastor that you love so much, when you have children who are all now grown, why ain't none of them holding you accountable? but that goes into that Jezebel.
Okay.
I know what the spirit of Jezebel can do.
Right.
Jezebel can silence a whole prophet. So why isn't no one holding you accountable? Here's why. Because as you continue to do life and you continue to not acknowledge your wrongdoing, what happens is you get used to it.
Right.
You get used to it. You go, you do life. But at the end of the day, if you don't come and see Rashida, you still will have to come and see God. At the end of the day. Now, I would rather hash it out with Rashida.
Okay.
Than preach every Sunday. Whole women conferences just to have to go and hash it out with God. I would rather, sis, if I had beef with you, I would rather hash it out with you than have to deal with God. Right. No matter if it means that I'm going to have to be embarrassed for a season, be hurt for a season. I think I'd rather get it right with God. Right. And getting it right with God is getting it right with you. Right. So, yeah, but baby, I ain't never heard nothing about folks. Okay. Stuff.
Yeah, I just thought, right.
Yeah, I ain't never heard about it.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's great. So, I mean, just listen to your story. You got a whole book in you. I mean, you got several. Because I'm just saying, a lot of people can relate. And I feel like just the opportunity for you to share your story so freely can bless somebody else and bring some more people to freedom. You know what I'm saying? So that's God to me. That didn't happen behind a wall. Yeah. That didn't happen standing behind the podium. Yes. You just being you. Yeah. And sharing how God used you. And people need that. Yeah. Right.
I learned that transparency help others heal.
Right. You know? Because people can relate. So many people can relate, you know. They just got to get to that place where they'll tell the story.
Yeah. And that's my prayer for everyone.
Right. Okay.
Because you can't talk about it until you're healed. Mm-hmm. If you ever notice, you ever sat down with people and they began to explain what they went through. Mm-hmm. Some of them began to cry so bad. Right. That they can't get it all out. Some will totally begin to shut down and they can't get it out. Some will get so angry that they can't get it out. And that's a sign of someone that's not healed. Right. When I speak about any of my traumas, they no longer touch my emotions. It don't make me cry. I don't feel angry. I don't feel no kind of way. When I do see my mom, hey, how you doing? I love you. And I do. Because I'm healed. Okay. And I know that you can be healed for real. You know what I mean? And so now when I see her, I don't feel the need to roll my eyes. Right. You know, I don't feel the need to, wish anything from her. It's not that I can't stand her presence, because I'm healed. Right. But I had to admit that I wasn't. Okay. I was just going to speak about that. Yeah. How long the healing process was, I'm sure it was a journey, to get to where you are, but it's possible. Very much possible. Yeah. And it's obtainable. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And it's available. So that's good. Yeah. Girl, let me tell you something. Now, this ain't funny, but I would say what they say. What's the new word now? What is it? Demore? Yeah, healed is demore. Yeah. That's attractive right there. Okay. A healed woman. Yeah. See, healing got more influence than sexy. Okay. You understand? Right. Yeah. Okay. Now these men won't heal women. Right. That's why I can't keep them out the Inez inbox. They right. Inbox child. Yeah. Talking about you love Jesus. They in there. Right. Yes. They in there. Right. And so healed is the new demore. Right. So demure, whichever one it is. Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I love it. So let's speak about, I know you say you got a book that you wear so many hats. Yeah. You're wearing so many hats. But let's speak about this book. Yes. So the book is called The Pulpit Was a Perfect Alibi. I was in the process of doing a stage play about it. Okay. Then God shut that down because he said it had to be a movie. Okay. And then I learned last year that before it can be a movie, it has to be a book first. Okay. So basically, if you listen to the title, and I won't give you too much. I know, girl, the title itself speaks volume. But I can tell you this: majority of everything that we just discussed here, you will read about it in the book in great detail. Okay. So it's one of those things where if you are offended by explicit truths, this may not be for you. Okay. But you will learn how to begin the process of healing. Okay. Now, The Pulpit Was a Perfect Alibi. That's the name of the book. That's a lot by itself. Which means that somebody used the pulpit as a alibi. Wow. I could not have done this because I was here. This would never, ever happen because they're there.
Yeah.
So the pulpit was a perfect alibi, and I'm excited about it.
I'm excited. Will you come back when you get the book and do another interview?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
girl.
because I mean, I definitely want to have another interview. Okay. Social media handles. How can they follow you?
You can follow me on TikTok at Rashida Inez, Instagram, The Real Rashida Inez, Facebook, Rashida Inez. And you can email me at therealrashidainez@gmail.com.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you
I
for
enjoyed
having
the
me.
conversation. We definitely going to talk again.
Absolutely.
Yes.